only a handful of men have portrayed a DC Comics superhero in 3 or more live-action projects. Of course, there's Christopher Reeve as Superman, Christian Bale as Batman, and stuntman Dick Durock as Swamp Thing. Of those characters, Durock's performance varies the most between Wes Craven's original, its campy sequel, and the subsequent TV series. For today's purposes though, let's focus on the middle film, the one that seems to be having the most fun, with its relatable hero, some scary monsters, and a lovely leading lady. John Era here with AndyCool.com, talking today about 1989's Return of Swamp Thing. This is a film that is much lighter in tone and much campier than its predecessor. Within the first few minutes, it seems like this franchise has gone through an entire reboot.
They call me Swamp Thing.
Changing up the main character's design, reverting the first film's bad guy back to human form, and making Swamp Thing more of an average guy stuck in a superhero's mutated body.
Where are we?
My place. Sorry it's so messy.
Some of the elements might have changed, but make no doubt about it. This is a sequel. The story takes us back to the same bayou as the original. Arcane was somehow saved after the events of the first film and reverted back to his old form, but he still continues to search for the secret of everlasting life. He kidnaps his vegetarian, plant-loving stepdaughter because he believes her DNA holds the secret to his research. Swamp Thing must come to her rescue and protect the swamp's human inhabitants from Arcane's army of monsters.
They better not have a mob new station wagon.
Damn! Some insurance got a mess his pants!
While I like Wes Craven's original film, I feel like Return of Swamp Thing is superior in a few ways. For one, Swamp Thing gets to battle more evil mutants this time. The creature he encounters early in the film is at least 4 times as scary as Arcane at the end of the first movie. Also, it takes on a lighter vibe, constantly poking fun at itself while never looking down on the much darker source material of the comics.
Me? Your boyfriend?
Why not?
You said it yourself. I'm a plant.
Low-budget journeyman director Jim Wynorski, responsible for such classics as Chopping Mall, Deathstalker 2, Ghoulies 4, and the David Carradine masterpiece Dino Croc vs. Supergator, creates a playful tone for the film, while throwing in a subversive beat from time to time. I love how when one of the 2 kids who provide comic relief in the movie gets a peek at a girly mag,
Whoa, I can't believe it! Look at these babes!
that same issue finds itself in front of a deranged scientist who uses the picture of a naked lady for plotting out how he would fiendishly mutate her body.
She'd look great with fins. And maybe flippers. Yes, definitely flippers.
One thing I'm glad they didn't change from the first film is the body horror. We take a tour of Arcane's latest lab experiments as he tries to mix human and animal DNA, creating more ghastly mutants. The makeup work here looks cool throughout, although the movie could have benefited from the use of more shadows and shorter shots on the freaks. That would have amped up the creepiness and kept the audience from noticing some of the weaker aspects of the prosthetics work. While one of the main characters does get transformed into a mutant by the end of the movie, it's in no way as freaky as Bruno's metamorphosis in the original. This movie doesn't strive to creep you out in the same nihilistic way Craven did in the original. Instead, the horror here, it feels much more campy and light, like a B-movie from the 50s or 60s. With the exception of a couple henchmen, the performances are solid. We get Sarah Douglas, Ursa from Superman 2, as Arcane's second in command. Louis Jordan returns as the selfish yet brilliant Arcane. Dick Durock, of course, dons the foam rubber costume as the title character.
Did those men hurt you? I'm sorry. Sometimes I forget what I look like.
I love how instead of trying to turn him into a monster or a superhero, the filmmakers instead choose to have him speak like an everyday normal guy. In the first film, he seemed more like the Frankenstein monster.
Everything's a dream when you're alone.
While in the TV series, a voice modulator was used to make him sound otherworldly.
You murdered my wife. You took from me the most important part of my life. You stole from her everything.
This simple performance choice grounds his character, no pun intended, and puts a silly, ironic twist on what would have been a simplistic one-note hero.
Smile.
You'll need to remove that lens cap.
Oh yeah, that's why it was so dark. Okie dokie.
Perhaps my favorite performance comes from blonde bombshell Heather Locklear, who goes to great lengths to immerse herself in this comic book landscape of trees, fog, and one-liners.
It's time to play doctor.
Bet you can't guess my favorite operation.
What's that, baby?
A vasectomy.
I'm gonna kill you!
Just like the film's reverence for the B-movie genre, she gladly hands herself over to the silliness of the comic book world and brings a strong presence to her scenes.
Damn, I just love it when guys peel out.
The women in this are written better here than in most comic book movies. They go toe-to-toe with the fellas, matching their wits, and in some cases, matching their battle scars.
Grenada, 1983, friendly fire.
That's Bush compared to this. Falkland Islands, 1982, shrapnel.
Nicaragua, spring break, 86.
Beirut, summer vacation, 87.
Sydney, 1967, Haight-Ashbury, the summer of love.
Motley Crue tour, 1988.
The female henchwoman, Poinsettia, is just as dopey and dangerous as her male counterpart.
We've set up sensors all around the property.
If anything breaks through those beams, we're gonna know about it.
Even though Locklear does get captured and Swamp Thing has to rescue the damsel in distress, she's still portrayed as a strong woman who can talk her way out of a jam.
That's far enough, Miss Arcane. Figure we better go see your stepfather, don't you think?
Sure. As a matter of fact, I was just on my way up there. Oh, except I forgot one little thing in the car. You wouldn't mind if I went? No, I didn't think you were gonna go for that one.
As easily as she can fire a gun at the bad guys. When Sarah Douglas's character thinks she's about to get double-crossed, she quickly comes up with a plan B to get even with her inevitable assassin. If I was a guy in this movie, you better believe I wouldn't underestimate any of those ladies. If I had to make one complaint, though, about the film, it would be this. I feel like the final battle between Arcane and Swamp Thing, it's anticlimactic. We build up to a big B-movie finale, only to have the action quickly fall apart. While it seems like the filmmakers wanted to leave plenty of room open for a sequel, I wish they would have given the film a more definitive end between Swamp Thing and Arcane. Apparently Peter David, who wrote the novelization of the film, didn't like the script or the ending. He ended up lifting an entirely different finish from one of Alan Moore's comics, involving a town of vampires and our hero transforming himself into a mountain. That's an ending I would have loved to have seen. Overall, Return of Swamp Thing packs in a few B-movie battles, along with some interesting monster designs, good performances, and a tone that constantly reminds us to have fun with the material. It never takes itself seriously, and in a world full of stupid superhero movies and cheesy sci-fi flicks, this one gets it right, because it knows what it is, it understands what it's trying to accomplish. It's not out to reinvent the wheel here. This is simple B-movie, sci-fi, horror shtick, and I think it's really good. But those are just my thoughts on Return of Swamp Thing. What are yours? You can leave your comments below, or hit me up on Twitter, and keep checking in with ain'titcool.com for more news and reviews. I'm John Airy.
Daryl, you jerk, you're gonna get us in trouble for littering.
Ah, big deal. A plastic cup never hurt anything, did it?
Littering always hurts, Daryl.
Walking!
You kids know that plastic lasts hundreds of years when thrown into the environment?
That stuff lasts that long?
Sure does, Omar. We all have to protect the green and recycle our litter.
You need us to help protect the land and water?
Sure do.
You really that busy?
As a matter of fact, kids, I'm swamped.